ladies and gentlemen, invited guests and ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Marracloon Heritage Group, I'd like to welcome you all here today to the unveiling of this monument. You'll all remember that back in July, in Clonus, Monaghan won the first Ulster title in 25 years. And after that, a local man, David Marn from Corrybracken, who can't be with us here today, David compiled a song to celebrate that victory. And in the song, he listed famous Monaghan men down through the years. And he went through them from Barry McGuigan, down to Patrick Kavanagh, Paddy Cole, Big Tom, wherever you like, and even Martin Legard. And in that song, he also mentioned Blind Harper. And most people listening to the song had no idea who Blind Harper was. Now, we are here today to commemorate Patrick Byrne, the Blind Harper. Micheál McDermott is a local historian and an acknowledged authority on Patrick Byrne. And when I say local, I mean local. Micheál's father and mother were both born in Marracloon. His father, Pat, in Drumbracken, and his mother, Lily Hanratty, in the Tullylocherney. Micheál will now tell us all about the Blind Harper. Thank you very much, Jim. Probably be a procession by the time I'm finished, but anyway, thank you very much, Jim, for your kind introduction. How much time have we to tell you all about Patrick Byrne? Well, I don't intend to keep you too long this morning, but I would like to start by saying to you that the Heritage Group in Marracloon are to be heartily congratulated for their enterprise, for their vision, and for their dedication and hard work in commissioning and bringing to fruition this monument, and which will serve for this generation and hopefully for future generations as a reminder of Marracloon's great son, Patrick Byrne. When we acknowledge and we appreciate the great work done by Coltus, Coltorierne branch in Carrickmacross, who have called themselves after Patrick Byrne, when we acknowledge their contribution, what we find is that he is being reintroduced, if you like, to this community, because I'm afraid for so long he has been neglected to some extent. This, of course, is the 150th anniversary year of his death. Now, the people in Carrickmacross and the Heritage Group here in Marracloon are, if you like, reintroducing Patrick Byrne to this society. And they are introducing him to a much wider and ever-increasing audience. And when we talk about an audience, we must remember Patrick Byrne addressed and entertained many, many audiences in the course of his life. It is important, though, to put him in some kind of context here in Marracloon, because when he set out from Marracloon to the Belfast Harp School, he was in his mid-20s. He was, by any stretch of the imagination, a mature student. And at the end of approximately 2 years, when he graduated, we learned from the archival material that he had at his disposal something like in the region of 60 odd tunes or airs. Now, I am of the belief that Patrick Byrne did not learn 60 tunes in Belfast. I am of the belief that when he went to Belfast, he was already quite well versed in music and had quite a number of tunes already learned. And I think it was this gift that he had that attracted him to the Shirley patronage. And when they recognized that this was something of a genius in our locality here, that then the patronage stepped in, and what a good job he did with that patronage. Because on his graduation, no less a figure than the great collector of Irish music, Edward Bunting, testifies in a wonderful, wonderful reference to him just how proficient
how he was and the expertise with which he commanded the instrument, the harp. He is, of course, recognised now as being truly the last great exponent of a centuries-old tradition of a travelling harper, going from place to place. In Patrick's case, in his early career, he was entertaining in the manor houses, or what a very good local writer, Terence Dooley from Killarney, calls the big house. And in those big houses, at the early stage of his career, it was rather closed to the public, and we only get from archival material from the big houses an appreciation of what he was. But as he progressed in life, he became more public, and it's when he becomes more public that we get the press covering him, and we get a whole load of other sources open up to give us more and more and more information about Patrick Byrne. He was, if there is one constant thing that emerges from all these various sources, including the testimony, of course, of Bunting, it is the sheer skill of the man on this instrument. This goes without saying. It is uncontested, time and time again. And a very good word that emerges from, especially in the press reports, is the word magic. Time and again we hear the word, we read the word magic emanating from the pages of these records. It's a lovely description of his music. He also was able to dramatize that music. We know this from the many accounts of how he played, for instance, Brian Boru's March, which is essentially a description of the Battle of Clontarf, which involves a good deal of drama. And of course, he got probably, to use a modern word parlance, a break when he got the main part in Sir Walter Scott's presentation of the Lay of the Last Minstrel at the Edinburgh, in the Edinburgh Festival. So that we have him now as an accomplished, indisputable expert on the harp. He also, to that, could add a very good ability, we understand, to sing, and to sing spare agus a scoilge. He was, in fact, bilingual. And so we get an idea of the kind of heritage that Patrick Byrne was bringing with him from Mahercloon, first of all to Belfast, and then, of course, in an international capacity when he entertains in the big houses in England and throughout Scotland as well. So this gives him a tremendous international dimension, and it extends, of course, to America because of the later involvement of the press, where reports of his performances were syndicated and then published in, for instance, the New York Cabinet. And there in America, his siblings, his brothers, his sisters could read about him. And of course, needless to say, they were extremely proud of this exponent of Ireland's culture through the medium of music. Singing, I mentioned, he was also a Shanachie, a very good storyteller. And we have instances of that. Particularly a story that comes to mind from the records is a story called Paul Doherty, or Doherty. Now, I have never heard this, I haven't been able to get that, so that's something for you to think about if you come across it somewhere. Maybe some of you would let me know. The art, of course, of storytelling hasn't died in Mahercloon, because I know quite a lot of people who can tell stories. They would fall into the tall stories category. Anyway, we come then to, there is a hint too in the archival material that he may have dabbled in a bit of composition. This brings us to an area of Byrne, maybe a composer. I say maybe because there are definitely two tunes which the collector Bunting attributes to him. One is called Nurse Putting the Child to Sleep, and the other tune is called Rose MacWard. Now he actually, when he collected the music from Byrne of Rose MacWard, he actually wrote Byrne's name on the piece of music. It would very strongly suggest that he wrote it. Apart from the fact, of course, that his sister Alice was married locally here into the Ward family. So there is a very strong chance that he was also a composer. I also want to mention that a very important dimension of Patrick Byrne's character, and this is something that was not lost on the reporters, was the moral integrity of the man, his moral rectitude. And this, of course, is an extremely important aspect of him. Most commentators at the time referred to him as a man of great civility, of decency, of gentlemanliness. So that, if you like, he is, in fact, a role model in many, many ways. I don't want to keep you too long. I just want to say to you that there is a piece of poetry, 2 lines, on this monument. These lines were composed by a man called James Martin. I regard him as a Kells man. Other people regard him as an Oldcastle man. Well, he spent most of his time in Oldcastle. He would have met Patrick Byrne when Patrick Byrne was entertaining the Napper family in Oldcastle. James Martin's poem is 73 lines long. I left the other 71 out. There's just 2 of them. So, the JM at the bottom of the quotation is James Martin. He was a contemporary of both Byrne and a friend. Knew him very well. It is in full, it is an excellent poem. Finally, I would like to thank the Maherclune Heritage Group for the honour that they have conferred on me today by giving me this job. It just goes to show you that if you have strong Maherclune connections, you can get through any crossroads in life. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Michal. Now, just to explain, the funding for this project was provided by Monaghan County Council Community Development Fund. And I'd like to ask Aidan Murray to say a few words about that.
You're very long. I just want to join, first of all, in complimenting the Heritage Group and thank them for all the work to do in the parish. I think, while this is a highlight here today, it's part of the ongoing work, and I'm sure many attended last year the unveiling of the Battle of Maherclune sign, which we have here and down in the church. But apart from that, they had a large exhibition earlier last year of a lot of other heritage in the parish. And I think it's very important, and we must appreciate a small group of people, the work they're doing to record all this. And I would ask you on an ongoing basis to continue your support, not only in any function like this that they have, but in any information and support they have. And I'm sure they would welcome people to join them in that. I suppose heritage to us all, every parish is rich in heritage. Maherclune is no different. And I suppose we all have our own concept of what heritage is about, whether it's history or social history or culture or whatever. And, it's a lot of it's not recorded, and it's a pity. I can remember, in fact, a reminder here myself, coming here to McDonald's shop, sent down on the bicycle for a few groceries and a gallon of paraffin oil. So I'm showing my age now, but anyway, that was before electricity when we had lamps. So, there's a lot of things like that. What happened here at the Ballally, why it's called the Ballally, there's rakes of stuff we could go on. But anyway, I'm not going to do that. Just going back to the funding, we have Liam Bradley, I think, when Jim was welcome here from Monaghan County Council. Liam supports this and works in this area. The funding is quite small, and unfortunately, the way things are, it mightn't get any bigger. But it is quite small, and I think we in the council and the other councillors here in South Monaghan would endeavour to get as much as we can of that funding for our own area. And I'm only too happy to try and support any effort that's made here. But as I say, the big effort is made by the committee here, and they're the people who does the voluntary work. And I really want to thank them and wish them well for the future. Thanks very much.
Curator of the Monaghan County Museum, Liam Bradley, has encouraged us to continue with these heritage projects, following our involvement in the Hidden Heritage exhibition in County Museum and in the Battle of Maherclune project. So I'll ask Liam now to say a few words.
Spoken from a bullhorn before. I was looking at a few images in the museum there a few days ago of political rallies back in the 50s and 60s, so I feel like shouting a few slogans, but I'll leave it for another day. As Jim has said, my name's Liam Bradley. I'm the curator of Monaghan County Museum, and I worked with Jim and the rest of the group back in 2009, really just beginning the project with them and doing a 2-year study of the history of Magheracloone, and it was something that I enjoyed personally myself so much. I learned so much about this part of the county. The museum's remit is to promote the heritage of the whole county, so it's so gratifying whenever Jim does call me and says, listen, we're doing something and we'd like to get you involved. It's great to be able to have these links, because that's the important thing. The museum building itself is in Monaghan town, but we strive as much as we can to reach out around the county, do as much as we can to promote the heritage all around Monaghan, and not just in Monaghan but outside the county as well. But you need people like the Magheracloone Heritage Group who are working non-stop every year to promote this heritage, because it's something that I'm always at pains to say in the museum, is that it's not the county, although the county council pays the bills, and thank you very much, it's your museum, it's your history, it's your heritage. And today, with the unveiling of the Patrick Byrne statue, this is part of your story, and it's an important part of it, and it's great to see such an important historical figure getting such notification, because as Michael said, for a long time he was forgotten. So for me that's personally very gratifying, and for the museum it's also great to see. Just briefly, I mentioned that your county museum, we're turning 40 years next year, so we'll be celebrating that with a number of events all the way through the year, and you'll be reading a lot about that. But if you want to find out more, you can follow us on Facebook or go onto our website at www.monaghan.ie, and you'll be more than welcome. We always like to get a few more followers on Facebook, so by all means please do that. So finally, thank you to Jim, thank you to the committee, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Without Carrickmacross Cultus for creating an interest in the Blind Harper, we probably wouldn't know, we in Magheracloone wouldn't even know anything about him. They have kept this interest going for the last number of years with Féile Patrick Byrne, and we're very indebted to them for that. We'd now ask Brian Walsh to say a few words.
Start off by thanking the Heritage Committee here for inviting us out here, members of the Carrick Branch Code, just to speak at this event. It's a wonderful occasion, and can I congratulate them on putting up this fine piece, and which I'm sure will keep the memory of Patrick Byrne alive for many years to come. And we hope, as in members of Cultus, it might inspire people to keep up their playing of traditional Irish music, and maybe new people to start learning it. And that's what we are all about in the Cultus branch in Carrick. We do our best to keep the memory of this man alive by running the Féile Patrick Byrne each year, which is a weekend of music workshops and dance and lectures and anything else we can fit into the weekend. It takes place in the town basically on the Palm Sunday weekend, which is around the end of March, April. It kind of changes each year, but it's always a wonderful weekend. As mentioned earlier, that this year was the 150th anniversary of the death of Patrick Byrne, and we commemorated that with a separate event this year, slightly later than the festival itself took place, which was a great success. And next year we can celebrate the 220th anniversary of Patrick Byrne's birth, and as part of our festival next year we have a group of musicians flying over from Carrier in France, which is a town twin with Carrickmacross, and will spend the weekend with us as part of the festival in the town. So we hope too that will spread the memory of this man to a wider audience and bring it all over the world maybe. So just once again, on behalf of the branch at Cultus, can I thank the committee here for inviting us out and, as I say, erecting this fine piece, and we hope it will keep the memory of this man long into the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. I have to say, as you all know, that Magheracloone Heritage Group would probably not exist without the influence of Father Michael Gilsman, who has always given us every encouragement throughout the years, even at a distance of 6,000 miles in Chino Hills, California. Now, Father Michael can't be with us today due to unforeseen circumstances. Now it's the time to thank a few people, and to explain a few facts about the monument. The stone, which you will soon see, was provided by Bill Carville of Limestone Industries in Mulcairn, and you could say he left no stone unturned to facilitate us. Gary Woods of Woods Memorials in Listoonan supplied and inscribed the granite plaque, and I'm sure you will agree that he did a fantastic job. When you see the plaque, the inscription on it was suggested to us by Micheál McDermott, and we couldn't see one good reason why we wouldn't use it. It was absolutely perfect. The metal profile of the harp, of Patrick Byrne and his harp, was designed and manufactured by Murray Design here in Marracloon, from a line sketch by Dimpna McCahey and an actual photo of Patrick Byrne, which was taken in 1845. We'd like to thank Liam Murray and Pádraig Kellett for their great work and assistance. We have special thanks for Rosemary McCabe, who has travelled a long way with her harp to add an authentic touch to this occasion. We have to thank the car park attendants, John McCahey and Pat Freeman, for keeping everything in order. Actually, we didn't expect such a crowd today. Mentioning John McCahey, this would not be here without John McCahey. He was an enormous help to us in erecting this monument. I could say that there probably isn't enough room on John's jacket for all his job titles. He was our site manager, project advisor, and jack of all trades. I want to thank my fellow members on the Heritage Group, Michael Hanratty, Bridgie McCahey, Anya McEnany, Pat Hamill, Sean Egan and Packy Jones for their cooperation in doing this great job. One other thing I have to mention, we have with us today in the front row, the second lady in from my right, Annie Carroll, is a direct descendant of Patrick Byrne. So you're very welcome here today, Annie. It's now time to ask Micheál McDermott to unveil this monument for us. We'll then adjourn to the community centre and we'll have some tea and a chat.
This way, folks.
Yeah. All right, Pat.
Any smiles?
No smiles, Pat.
you.
All right, Jared.